Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Next Level Healing. I am here with my special guest, Philip. I'm so delighted that he's here to share his story. You want to tell them where we met and how you got interested in getting involved with this work? And then, of course, we've got our episode with you and your son also on Next Level Healing. You got to check that out.
The first time we met was actually in Nashville at Dr. Joe Dispenza event. And I had been there a few prior to that, and
we're both Dr. Joe addicts, as is
big fan,
and his wife Judith.
Big fan, and actually, you and Judith had met and became fast friends, and I would just tag along,
And she was the one who told me about your wonderful story with your son, which again is another episode.
Yeah.
But then you had some issues that you wanted to upgrade and resolve.
Right.
What is it that you were struggling with, and why did this seem like a good solution?
Well, when one of the events that I had been to with Dr. Joe was in Santa Fe, and during one of the meditations, it was to focus on something that you were having an issue with physically or emotionally or mentally, and I had a physical injury to my rotator cuff in my arm that had been plaguing me for a long time, and I couldn't lift it much beyond 90 degrees without a lot of pain. After that meditation, we had lunch, and then there was a physical activity that was going to require me jumping and grabbing under a bar that would, in my mind, I couldn't even hold on to do a chin-up prior to that. And it was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, but I'll try it. And
You wouldn't
see that. I was game. And it was actually jumping to a trapeze from I think we were about 12, 13 feet up on a platform. And I had a safety harness, so I wasn't worried that I was going to get injured. I didn't think I'd be able to hold on. And I jumped, and it was absolutely painless. It was actually, my left shoulder hurts more than my right shoulder these days, if at all. And
wow.
And so I thought, if that worked for my shoulder, maybe I had broken my back in a motorcycle crash in 1979 when I was very young, and it had plagued me back pain for 40 years, basically, at that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you had already learned how powerful your mind is
Yes.
in healing physical issues.
Right.
So at what point did you think, I think I want to try this for my back?
Well, I think with, we had my experience with my shoulder, and then my experience with Logan and his coma and his recovery, which was miraculous. And I'm like, that there's such a range in those two things that maybe this, if I, do something with this for my back, maybe that'll help, because at the time, I think I was having a lot of pain, and I'd been going to a chiropractor and trying to get relief, which had helped me in the past and never fixed it, but it would give me some relief for a period of time. And it just wasn't working anymore. So it's like, I didn't want to take drugs because they just make me dumb and they don't really fix the pain anyways. So I was hoping that this would help.
So actually, Philip was initially excited when he found out I was an acupuncturist, because he had some relief with acupuncture. And I said, since this has been bothering you for decades, for over 40 years, if you break your femur, which is the thickest bone in your body, under normal circumstances, that should be stronger than ever in 8 weeks. So why don't we just go to Command Central and see what's up there? And then what was the experience of the session, and how long was it into the work that you realized, this is working for me?
Well, it was kind of, I didn't know what to expect exactly, to be honest, and I wasn't sure.
Usually.
Yeah. And
as Dr. Joe says, it comes from the unknown.
Yeah, and it was really very peaceful and non-invasive, and I felt comfortable, and almost immediately I started experiencing less pain. It was like, and I think after the second session, I haven't really had any pain at all, which is stunning. 40 years of chronic back pain. Yes, thank you so much. And and so the only pain I experience anymore in my back is if I sit too long but I think I have my mattress might be too soft, and I go wake up and I can have a little bit, but it's in my low back in one specific area, so I think it's just time for a new mattress. And but other than that, and that loosens up very shortly after I'm up and moving around. I have had no back pain, which is stunning.
That's amazing.
It really is.
What I love about Philip is when I asked him when he came in for the second time and 90% of his back pain had gone away, which he'd had for 40 years from this injury. I said, "Are you surprised by that?" He says, "Not really." He says, "I know how powerful my leg is."
Right.
Which I think is true for all of us. What always frustrates me is that I can see that we're like an iPhone 14 operating on iPhone 4 technology. And it's not anybody's fault. We weren't born with an owner's manual for the brain, and we don't know what we don't know.
And I think for me also, some of it is you're taught not to believe.
Yes.
We're trained that all of that's woo-woo or fantasy or magic or, and it's like, well, yeah, it is kind of magic, because it worked,
Well, even just the placebo effect.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so powerful that we should be harnessing that in every way, shape, or form we can, because the side effects are non-existent.
Right.
And the upside is so huge and the downside is nothing. And then when scientists now know that 90 to 95% of our minds are subconscious, below the level of our consciousness, there's just this whole tool chest there to go into and find out what are the patterns that are stuck and limiting and blocking in terms of our belief system that we can't heal. We're not worthy of healing.
Right.
Things are available to other people, but they're not available to us, or it's weird and strange, and I shouldn't go outside of a tribe because that's the way we were conditioned in our nervous system for so long. So it really is this whole interesting array of...
Yeah, I kind of, I think we kind of get programmed into pain, because some of what we've discussed is really would seem disconnected from the pain itself. It's an experience that I've had as a young child or what I was going through, but how it would relate to that pain is a mystery.
Yeah.
But by moving through that, and some of it is, I think we're conditioned to believe, it's like when I was younger, it was like, well, you're going to regret that when you're older.
Yeah.
And you get that seed gets planted that you hurt yourself, so you're going to regret it, and it's going to come back to haunt you. And that seed gets planted and it germinates and it grows in your mind over the years. And then the dialogue we speak when we go, my back, and I've got a bad back. That how often have I said that in 40 years?
Yeah.
I have a bad back.
Yeah.
And I programmed it to be that.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you put a label on it and you own it, then your subconscious just executes that programming.
Right. Right.
Hey guys, studies are showing that 68% of people that watch podcasts regularly don't click the subscribe button. Do me a huge favor. If you like this content, click subscribe so other people know where to go for the cool stuff. Thank you.
And so, now with our few sessions that we've had, it's pretty miraculous. I have to say it, and I tell people all the time, until you've had a back injury and experienced real back pain, you don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
You really don't. And, because it's literally like getting stabbed with a knife. It is incredibly painful and very, debilitating, and so to not have to, go through life with that on a daily basis and to be freed from that with, a very pleasant experience. It's not like I'm having surgery or having this big long recovery or I have to take all kinds of crazy medicine that has all kinds of side effects. It's been...
What was that accident like so many years ago?
Well, I was riding a motorcycle back when I was 19. I lived in California, and I was going up Cahuenga Boulevard, and it was kind of on a big curved hill, and I could see there was a car up ahead waiting to make a left turn, And you're always like, does he see me? Does he see me? You know, you're trying to make eye contact and they're waiting and waiting. And you're like, well, he must see me. And right as I got in front of him, they turned in front of me. And it was almost like a head-on collision. And I went over the top of the car, flipped over backwards. I fractured my spine. I fractured my skull. I was wearing a helmet at the time. They weren't required back then.
What level did you fracture?
It was at the very base of my spine. I'm trying to...
L5, S1,
Yeah.
L4, L5.
It was like, I think it's the second vertebrae above my pelvis. It was a big one, you know, so to crack that one through it was a significant impact. I was probably doing 40 miles an hour.
Were you in a body brace for you?
They did put
or rod?
They called it a tortoise shell. I called it the shell. You know, it was a body brace that I had to wear. I wore that for about 6 months. I went to physical therapy for probably 2 years. For 40 years, you know, I've been seeing chiropractors. I went to an orthopedic surgeon and they couldn't do anything for me. So I really looked for a way, you know, doing, you know, various exercises to get my core stronger and all the things that you're told to do that are 3D, you know, physical stuff that you can do. And it's only been in the past few years. So Judith was the one that introduced me to Dr. Joe. I think the first one I went to was in Austin, Texas. And it was really, it really opened my mind to the alternatives and to how powerful your mind is. Like you said, that you really, it's kind of taking possession of yourself. It does. It's really.
I always want to give everybody every possible tool to just take back their power, heal themselves safely and effectively.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that means don't do stupid things, but there's just so much we can do to empower our lives. And
yeah, it's really, you know, I think meditation, you know, just the whole, it's kind of the whole totality of it with meditation and getting quiet and belief. It's a change in your belief systems and the way you look at things and literally changing the way you speak, the way you talk about it yourself, the way you communicate information. And it's also helped me just become a more calm person.
That was my next question. If you were to compare like 4 months ago, 5 months ago to today in terms of quality of life, obviously physically it's improved a ton.
Yes,
how would you explain the quality of life shift between then and now?
I'm just way more peaceful. You know, like I used to get really agitated in traffic. You know, I've read some articles about it's almost like a claustrophobia in traffic. I really don't like being in a congested traffic. And then people are prone to doing, you know, foolish things in their cars and being on the phone. And I used to really get wound up or, you know, angry. And now I'm not like that. I just am more peaceful and more like accepting of people as they are, life as it is. And I look for the gift or the learning experience that I can get out of it and have more compassion towards other people. Because I think part of it is that I realized my perceptions were all based on what I'd been taught and what I've been told and the culture that I grew up in my family. And now I'm learning a different story, you know, a different way to move through life. And you know, we talked about my near-death experience and how all of those things have kind of informed my approach, you know, that I just am more accepting of people making mistakes. And I just am calmer and my physical body feels better. I don't, you know, like I was thinking, I should do some stretching the other night because I was just tired and I wanted to, you know, relax a little more before I went to bed. And I went to stretch and I was like, whoa, you know, I was so limber that it was surprised me.
Wow.
You know, because I was sitting and it was could have reached down to my feet, touch my toes, and I could just grab the bottom of my feet.
Wow. How long has it been since you've been able to do that?
But a long time. I was like, this is,
decades since.
yeah, well, yeah, it was probably when I was 35. So it's going to be 30 years.
Interesting. I love this. I didn't know that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So it's like my whole, my whole physical being has changed. My whole, just I know I had meditated the other morning, and when I opened my eyes, everything was so bright and clear. And I had commented to Judith, it's like, oh my God, everything is so saturated with color and alive. And it was just like seeing things for the first time almost. It was just different. It was different in the way I was looking at things. And so I feel really, really great. Thank you. I feel really great.
I have to give you a hug for that one.
It helped me so much. And I just really, it's hard to explain. You can't, when it's hard to put into words the comfort and peace and kind of its tranquility that I've experienced. Because I used to be what a friend of mine called me, said is, you're a mesomorph, forcing things into the way you want them to be. You use power and force to make things happen, and I don't feel the necessity to do that anymore.
And yet stuff still gets done.
Yeah.
Does it get done even better?
It's actually, I think it gets done as well, if not better. Okay. But with way less stress for me.
Great. Quality of life.
Yeah, and I think the quality of life for the people that I'm dealing with also, that they're happier and more peaceful and enjoying doing the work that, I'm going through this huge remodel at my house right now. And the guys that are working there just love coming to my house to work. They love being there, the energy of our home with Judith and I, and how they're treated and what we talk about, things that they don't, like we're talking now. This is how I talk to everybody about this. I try to share what I'm learning, and because it's really been so I don't know, for a blessing for me. It's such a difference, made such a difference in my life that I want to share with people.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
So folks, if you got value from this, please click subscribe, and we'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much, Philip, for being here.
Thank you for everything.
And we'll see you on the next episode of Next Level Healing.
I am. Thank you. That was awesome.